The Apostle Paul, one of history's greatest spiritual leaders, wrote these haunting words, "I don't understand what I'm doing, because I don't do what I want, and I do what I hate." Sound familiar to you? In life, who among us has not experienced moments of feeling confused and not knowing why we act like that? Even though we try to change, there are habits and struggles within us that keep coming back, as if they were an inseparable part of life. So, if you're feeling this way, are you failing? Or is it actually the battle with your desires that God has arranged, part of the great plan He has for your life? Today, I want to explore with you a profound truth that most videos on this topic don't cover. We will look at a different perspective, a new way of understanding the struggle with ourselves and with the temptations in life. And I believe that after you watch this video, you will look at your struggle with completely different eyes. Throughout the Bible, we cannot help but recognize a repeating pattern, an undeniable rule. People chosen by God for a great purpose, people with special missions, often have to face challenges and strong temptations. Think of David, a man who pleased God. Even so, he could not avoid the strong temptation of falling in love with Bathsheba. Joseph, who had been assigned to save the nations from famine, was tempted by Potiphar's wife. Samson, a man gifted with supernatural powers, is also drawn to relationships beyond God's will. But this is what many people miss when learning about these stories. These failures are not random. They have a deeper purpose that we need to understand. So, what makes these failures so important? That is a profound spiritual principle that we cannot ignore in our journey. When God chooses someone to carry out an important mission, the enemy will not stand still. He will not respond with gentle resistance, but will attack our hidden weaknesses, targeting those factors that can have the greatest impact on God's plan. The question is, if you were implementing a strategy, would you attack randomly or target the spots that could do the most damage? The intensity of the struggle you are facing with lust may be directly proportional to the threat that God has designed for your life and the enemy's plans. Therefore, when the battle becomes more intense, when you feel like you are at your weakest point, maybe at that moment God is preparing you for a big turning point in your life. Now, I want to share with you something that may change the way you view this struggle. In Corinthians 12:7-9, Paul shares about a thorn in the flesh, a persistent struggle that never let him go, even though he prayed to God 3 times for him to take it away. However, God did not respond the way he expected. Instead, the Lord said, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." For Paul, his own weakness became the space for God's power to manifest. So your struggle with lust may be serving a similar purpose. It is not because God causes temptation, but He can use even the difficulties and trials we experience to shape us, to prepare us for a greater mission. This is not an empty theory, but a powerful truth that can change the way you view every challenge in life. When we look at history, the people who made the greatest spiritual impact were also the people who fought the fiercest internal battles. St. Augustine, who struggled with sexual temptation as a young man, later became one of the most influential theologians in Christianity. C.S. Lewis, one of the great voices of the 20th century, battled intense desires before becoming a powerful Christian writer and philosopher. Even Mother Teresa confessed to dark times and strong spiritual doubts, while serving the poorest in society. This shows us that it's not that these people don't struggle, it's how they respond to that struggle that matters. This is where we can learn a great lesson. So, understanding that you can be chosen is the first step. But how you respond to that call is what really matters. Your struggle is not a failure, but a part of His preparing you for a noble mission. So, if your struggle with lust is truly related to God's purpose for your life, here are 4 important responses you need to discern. Recognize targeted attacks. When you encounter great temptation, ask yourself, what divine purpose is under attack right now? Maybe it's your leadership potential, your future marriage, your ability to serve others, or even your ability to share your faith. Remember that challenges are not fun, but they are helping you grow and mature spiritually. Transform shame into sacred awareness. Instead of fighting shame with willpower, see your struggle as an invitation for God to lead you into a deeper dependence on Him. Paul not only endured his weakness, but he boasted about it because it was weakness that created the space for God's power to shine. Weaponize your weaknesses. Your fight is not just a personal struggle, it is also a preparation for your mission. The very wounds you are facing will become places where you can heal others. Let your suffering become a tool to serve those around you. Embrace discipline, supported by grace, in 1 Corinthians 15-10. Paul taught us about the combination of grace and discipline. It is through God's grace that we can fight not only with willpower, but also with the support of spiritual practices such as prayer, meditation, and service to others. So, let your struggle become an opportunity to grow in faith. Don't think that when you're having trouble, you're far from God. In fact, when you become aware of your struggle, you are closer to God than ever before. Because in every battle, He is with you, leading you, and using those same challenges to prepare you for the great things He has for your life. So, if you are feeling tired, pray and ask God, Lord, show me the purpose behind this struggle. Reveal how you want to use even these trials in my story, so that your glory can shine. When you look at your struggles this way, not only can you help yourself grow, but you can also become a source of encouragement for others. And remember, where you see weakness, God sees potential. Where you see failure, God sees faithfulness to return to Him. And where you see struggle, God sees someone chosen for an extraordinary purpose.